See, just a second. How awesome was that? Unfortunately, I think Braun's gonna get another ad, so you're gonna have to
No,
delay that.
no more ads, please. I don't know. We'll get a few. It shouldn't be too bad.
Shouldn't be. So, it's double elimination, right?
Yeah, it's a double elimination tournament. So I'm into the losers bracket now because I got beat by Miracle Rogue. If any of you guys are Hearthstone players, you'll know what that is. It's just a very frustrating setup to deal with because you can see it coming a mile away, and it'll still just sort of roll over you. So hopefully I get some time. I'm through all my matches for the week, so I'll have some time to work on my decks, and maybe you guys will get to see me playing on stage at this awesome tournament at PAX. Maybe not. We'll see.
We'll see. All right, let me see if I can switch over to the thing that the episode we have prepared. OBS is kind of freaking out about that a little bit. So we're gonna
Wait,
do.
also, did you put up a Reddit post?
Nope.
Oh, we derped.
Yeah.
Do you have the Reddit post thing? I'll submit it now.
If you look at what I have submitted in the past, you'll find it, but I don't have it
Yeah,
offhand.
I'll do that right now. Because we don't need me to run the production. Yay!
Okay, there we go. We have that. Sweet. So we have this, and then I'm going to press a button when we're ready, and we can get right into watching the clip, which is awesome. So as soon as he gets the Reddit post up, we'll do that. So this was a game we played yesterday. We brought in one of our other friends, Filibuster Fox, in for a few games. And we have one clip after the game that I just want to go over as well, because it was an example of a team fight that our positioning could have been vastly improved upon. I don't know if Braun remembers that specific team fight, but we will see when we actually get there. So just tell me when you have the video at 2:00 after you have the Reddit thread up.
I mean, you can probably start the
Start the video
video.
now.
Yeah.
All right, let's start the video in 3, 2, 1.
Let's see.
Swap over to that, and there you go, guys. So I'll just go through a little bit of the pick phase while Braun is putting up the Reddit thread. So far our comp is Amaranth, Mina, Petrus, Zalgus, and Kensu. So we have sort of a mix of mobility and non-mobility. I think for the most part, one of the in terms of this comp, one of our big points is to get Amaranth's initiation off, see if we can burst someone right off the bat with the Amma and Zalgus combo. And then after that, it'll be mine and Mina's job to peel for both the Source and Grimthetic, who is playing Zalgus. Because those are the two who are going to be doing the most damage over time in the fight. And now you can see the other team has selected Volek, or Vakalu as a lot of people like to call him. And this is a game that, spoilers, we're going to be winning. So it's one of those games where, yes, we were able to do something to stop Volek, but he is still in a really, really strong position right now, and even Waystone is admitting it.
Totally broken.
One of the things is that if playing against a Volek, in order to beat him, you need to specifically counter him with both shapers and items in order to fully beat him in the way you want to beat him and shut him down. And anytime a shaper or champion or whatever in any game you're playing that isn't Dota, then
That isn't Dota. Pretty much true.
then having a hard counter, or then having a shaper to play that you can only really counter with a hard counter or another shaper is something that you never really want, especially from a game that doesn't have draft yet. So there are ways to handle him. Petrus is one of them, so I'm glad I'm playing Petrus, and Mina can also help out with that too. So we have a fairly good team for fighting him off, and along the line we'll also be talking about a lot of the finer things we do that'll allow us to basically outmaneuver him and make sure that he doesn't get to the point where he is super strong Volakalu solo queue terror that he is right now.
Valakalu,
Yeah.
Bass Sharper, NA.
Even Waystone had said in a Reddit thread that Volek is extremely strong right now, much too strong. He's overpowering, uh, so that they will be nerfing him fairly soon. So, with a direct statement from Waystone, I think we can all agree that Volek is indeed overpowered.
Yeah, I mean if you guys are unfamiliar with what Volk used to do, he used to just sort of pub stomp his way through the jungle. He still does that. The idea was is they tried to take his life steal away from him by making it sort of an on-hit life restoring skill. What that did though is it's actually a dot similar to a pain or similar to a decay. So what it did was it just made him have better just overall damage. It made it harder to get away from him, and it changed the way his clear did. His clear stayed pretty much exactly the same, and it actually made him stronger because at early levels, lifesteal is not as much value as this on-hit instant life that he's able to gain when you're not doing enough power damage to really make use of the lifesteal, and that's why he's so strong now.
Yeah, before you wouldn't really have as much lifesteal to fully come out of the jungle in an amazing spot as Volek unless you maxed your W, because your W was the thing that gave you the lifesteal. Now they moved it to his passive. People don't need to level up his W first, and now they're going with options like his E or his Q, both of which give him a huge power spike. Q is more for power spike, E is more for chasing and the haste buff it gives you, but either of those two options are both better suited for his early game snowballs than maxing his W, which is what people did before. Now, if you guys are watching, I am the one jungling in this, and I started life first. That was just a complete screw up on my part. I for some reason I thought I was tactician, and I bought life instead of resilience, and now I'm kind of sad because if I had resilience, I would be able to help Zalgus over there with that Volek problem. But as you can see, my health is at 230, so I'm not really going to be able to affect that in any way other than die and give up a double instead of a single. So quite a misplay in my part in terms of buying the wrong item at the start, and that actually prevented another play I could have made.
Also, Barrick, he does not sound like Zyrene. Zyrene sounds like him.
Ooh,
Apparently,
you're going
someone
there.
thinks. Apparently, someone thinks you sound like Zyrene. No, dude. Dude, you definitely were casting before Zyrene. Actually, I don't know about that. I don't remember Zyrene really casting anything for a long time until start of season 3.
Yeah, I don't know where
He
where
started.
Zyrene's been. Yeah, I don't know where he started. Right,
Yeah,
because he showed up on the League of Legends scene, yeah, at around the end of season 3. But
but like
before
he
that,
never
I don't.
he never worked in the earlier stuff.
Right, I don't ever remember seeing him at NESL. I don't remember seeing him at any of the other lower level sort of casting
Either way,
organizations there. But
Azaraki is really, really low on health right now, and it's just sort of what's gonna happen if you don't have that resilience.
yep,
There's not a
resilience
lot.
blocks. What is it? Flat 10 damage on. No,
Yeah,
not 10 damage. That's way too much. It's like 8 or something. It blocks a flat amount of
it's
damage
8.
from auto attacks.
Which like we were saying with the way that Volek is stronger. Volek is now stronger because of direct on hit value on his ability, as opposed to what it was before, where percentage isn't a strong early game. That's why people always say go flat, flat quints, or in League of Legends, you go flat sparks in Dawngate because just the straight value on on the stats is more worth it than percentage, which is why Volek is so much stronger and why Azaraki is so low, because he doesn't have that flat defense on his he'd get off of resilience.
Yeah, one of my sort of loadout quirks is that, in my opinion, I like flat power, flat armor, flat everything in my loadout because late game you're going to be getting items for all of that, and early game you can really overpower your enemy if you have the extra 14 armor that you can get on certain pages. I think I run one page that actually starts me out with 14 extra armor, really good for mitigating a lot of damage, and I personally think that armor is the best loadout stat simply because it has so much value early game. Nobody at level 1 is going to do all of their damage with spells, right? Even Ashabel, who is quite spammy with her Q, auto attacks are still going to be a really large source of her damage in level 1, level 2, level 3, or level 4. So everyone is going to end up auto attacking at some point, even if they're a mage. Armor is really just the best option to defend against that. So you and Fox were laning up in top lane, and tell me how that was. I wasn't obviously in top lane, so what is the Kensu Amaranth lane like?
It's great against not the double shield mega heal lane that is the Viana Fenmore lane. So essentially, Viana's got shields and heals, Fenmore has shields and heals. We're not really going to be able to wear them down. It's not what this lane can do. We need to wait till level 6, which is one of the things I mentioned to them here. I told Azaraki to stay in the lane and soak up the extra experience so he could hit 6 because I was already 6. So when I got there, if they stuck around, we'd have 3 members with 6 and then we'd have enough burst to kill someone. Because you're not going to wear down the Viana Fenmore lane. You're just going to get the crap pushed out of you, which is basically what was happening to us. Fox couldn't burst anyone or keep that much sustained damage. We're actually going to go in for a kill here.
We don't get anything right off the bat.
No, we get one.
No,
don't.
Not right off
Oh
the bat.
no, you're right.
And now here's a really cool thing about why if I could, I would pick Petrus against Volix. So Volix going to go ahead and try to kill Filibuster Fox at really low health. I jump on him, stun him, and knock him back. Petrus has a lot of early game tankiness and a lot of tankiness throughout the game, so he's one of the few people who can actually stand in Volix ultimate and not take all that much damage. So in me being able to do that and then knock him back afterwards, I made sure that he didn't catch up to any of our squishies, who were both at really low health, and we were able to wait out his ultimate until it ended. Then we turned on him, killed him, and then we were able to turn on Viana and take her down as well. So that's one of the reasons why I really like Petrus against Volek, is that his ultimate reposition is so good because what Volek basically has to do is he has to stay up in your face, he has to chase you, he has to stick to you in order to do damage, in order to lifesteal, in order to stay alive. Petrus can prevent that with his ultimate, so the Meridian education, very strong.
Yeah, it's, if you guys are familiar with League of Legends, it's sort of like the Tryndamere factor in combination with the Swain factor. Tryndamere wants to chase you down, Volek wants to chase you down. Swain wants you to fight on top of him, Volek wants you to fight on top of him. So by punching him away, it was, he wasn't doing all of his AoE, and he actually heals more for each target. Like, each target he'll deal damage to you and heal individually. And that's what you have to avoid. Volek, as a melee sword-wielding shaper, has so much AoE. And if you can avoid that, especially with someone like Petrus, Moya is one of the other great options for dealing with Volek, because you can just take him away, you just lift him up in the air, you can, stop a lot of that, insane damage.
Yeah, and here's an example of use your ultimates early in some sort of gank. Right, don't save your ultimate to secure the kill, because right there, when I went in for the gank, I was saying to myself, well, if I knock him back, then I can have the other 2 people on my team immediately land damage. They're going to be so much better in terms of the damage they can land. So I just did that right off the bat instead of trying to wait until I could secure the kill with my ulti and do it that way. So that was part of the reason why that gank worked, is because I just didn't wait on my ulti. I didn't wait to secure a kill, and this is something that we especially see with Zalgus players. I know that we had a particularly bad experience with one, or at least Braun did yet last night.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, no, I had a very greedy Zalgus. Our Zalgus in this game plays very well, but
yeah,
Zalgus.
This game Zalgus is good,
man.
but
Zalgus as a shaper, the people look at him like they looked at Lux, like they look at Sniper in Dota 2. They look at him as, I've got this awesome ultimate that does a crap ton of damage, and I want my resets, and I want to kill everybody, and I'm going to save it for the end. As opposed to the Zalgus player who lands a 5-man chain, ults and E's, and results in taking all 5 enemy members down to like 20% health. Zalgus ultimate, yes, it's great for sniping, and you should just snipe when you can, but don't be afraid to throw out your ultimate when it's going to result in taking every member of their team down to like 20% health with your chain. Yep. And like, it's just, it's so much damage, and even if you're not going to get the reset, yeah, sometimes you want to save for the reset. Other times, that chain is going to result in your team winning the fight.
Yeah, in my opinion, the best ability on Zalgus is indeed his Q, because it can chain people together. And what that does is that allows all of his damage to be dispersed. That includes his ultimate, that includes his E. All of those are dispersed with whoever he ended up chaining. I go really ham here, and I'm actually kind of surprised that I got out. So I called the top lane, hey, Volek's on his way, and I don't know if Fox heard me or not, but
yeah, Fox doesn't hear you, but I sit there and I duel their AD carry. So we lose a support for their AD carry, and I pick up the kill. And all in all, that wound up being worth it, in my opinion.
And
and they
we
throw
picked
out
up
an
the
extra ultimate.
Desecrator kill down at the bot earlier too, so
Yeah, it wound up being three kills for two deaths.
yeah, I think that's.
I
I would,
think
I would
that's
have to go back to watch it again, but I think that was it. So it
yeah.
was a pretty
So
good trade, yeah.
yeah, so when yeah, Volix. Oh man, Volek. It's all about the Volacalo.
It's all about the Velocaloo. So he ended up picking up a kill on Emerald there, which is not the end of the world because it was only one kill. I have to mute my Skype because I forgot to do that. Everyone on stream just sort of bloop.
All the blips. So yeah, the when you want to deal, and I guess we're going to turn this into how to deal with Volek episode because it seems to be the key to this episode was how to deal with Volek.
Now, granted,
That's
part
just
of it
Volek.
is obviously having the right shapers to do it because some shapers just can't do anything about Volek. You know, they don't have a lot of mobility. All right, we have a question in chat. Do you guys think Volek is actually too good? It's your first
Well,
time watching. Welcome to
yeah.
At What Cost. That is
We-
awesome, and you guys can ask questions whenever you want throughout the thing. We do generally chat with viewers afterwards, but that definitely doesn't mean that we don't want to chat right now about any questions you guys have.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about it before. Right now, and again, this is and I'll bring up some additional statistics. I'm actually gonna go look for them for a moment while I explain a little bit of this. Volek isn't too strong. As you guys can see here, his ultimate was used on one person, and now he's kited, and now he can be dealt with. And when Volek's ultimate is down, and you know where he is, like just look at this. He's completely handleable. Yes, our Zalgos is very low, but we had two targets to peel for him, and it resulted in us getting that free kill. And I actually think you pick up the kill here on Avian. No, she
No,
blinks.
she thinks, yeah.
So what I was saying was Volek is not too strong in the pure sense of you can handle the shaper as a team. If you're playing in team play, he can be handled. If you're playing individual play, solo queue, he's the god of pub stomping. It's what he does. An example being Volek in the DGSL, which is a competitive Dawngate tournament. He was played twice, and out of those two times, he only won one of the games. He was only picked twice. He wasn't even banned at all. So competitive players aren't going to ban Volek. And this was even during the new changed Volek. So, Volek can be kited and he can be handled. Granted, here we're way, way, way out of position.
Yeah, and you saw me hover my mouse over the blink, and I was like, all right, take blink. It never took blink. So I kind of died there, so that's unfortunate,
Yeah.
but go on.
So Volek isn't picked and played in competitive play. The top MMR players are not choosing him to take him into a competitive tournament.
With the recent
So-
buffs, Volek has gotten better at that, and
Yeah.
right now he's at the point where, in a pure essence, he's not too strong. There are ways to counter him, but in a game that doesn't have draft mode, and in solo queue, he's too strong. Because one of the big ways you can counter him is having a really heavy kite team. And Petrus is really good at that. As we talked about before, he can knock him away. Moya can disposition him. Anyone who can basically
I like Kensu against him too.
take him out of a fight. Yeah, Kensu's got a lot of CC, and he's the kite master in terms of AD carries. So those specific shapers can counter him. But in a game outside of Dota, again, where in order to deal with the shaper, you need to pick a certain 2 or 3 counter picks, or anything that sort of shuts you out from playing half of your champion pool, or shaper pool rather, then it's just not really balanced, right? You'd never want to be forced to play someone just because the enemy team picked a specific shaper.
Yeah, I'd say right now in solo play, Volek is too strong for the average player. Because if you're not prepared for him, if you don't know how to build against him, and you don't have a team that can kite him because it is solo queue, you run into problems. Here, their Fenmore is going to step out of line, and I've actually already built the early pain I need to deal with this Volek, and that's an item. If you guys are ever playing against Volek, get a pain, especially against Volek, Viana, and Fenmore. Like their team just screams, "Build a pain now." Because I'm able to cut through all of their healing. They couldn't heal. They couldn't be these, super heal tanks that they want to be. And that's one of the stronger ways to deal with Volek, especially if you're an AD carry player.
And right there, we saw Volek tried to go in for that gank, but Fox used his ultimate, and that completely fizzled Volek's ultimate, right? He started charging at us, got knocked up for a really long time, and then we were too far away for him to actually catch up. So that's something that you want to try to do against Volek. So right here, the call is made. All right, you go take the Spirit Well. We can keep up the siege. And if they try to engage on us, we have Pain. They're not going to heal as well. And they also have quite a bit of poke between Amaranth and Kensu.
Yeah, so I'm gonna die in a minute because he's got Blitz, and that is the one thing you do need to fear when a Volek has ultimate in Blitz, because Blitz, as a spell, I think is incredibly strong. Not really broken, but insanely strong because people just forget how much value you can get out of the fact that you're just not CC immune for 3 seconds.
Yes, Volek is too good, but there are things that can handle him. The problem is that in solo queue, you don't really get to pick the stuff that can handle him, right? You can't see what the enemy team is picking, so you can't be like, whoa, there's a Volek, I'm gonna pick Petrus or Moya or someone with that with the disposition ultimate. And you also don't have the team coordination that you need, because a lot of solo queue games I see people just sort of trying to pile on top of Volek, and everyone stands in his ultimate and he heals for 1,000 health per second.
Don't
or
stand
something.
in the Karthus W.
Yeah, just don't stand. If there's a big fiery circle, just don't stand in it.
Don't go near pools of fire. It's just like everybody's like flies and they go towards the light. It's just so bad.
Yeah, so that's something that you need to watch out for. And with a team that can't communicate like in solo queue, that's a big problem. So right now he's way too strong in solo queue, which is where most of this game is built off of, especially without a solo queue draft mode yet. So I would say that he is too strong right now. And Waystone themselves has said in a Reddit thread, yeah, we're nerfing him. We're nerfing him soon.
Yeah. I mean, always build Pain. Pain's actually of an undervalued item in a lot of situations. It just, to be honest, it's good no matter what their comp is, to be honest. You can build it very, very early on a lot of shapers. But, if you see a Volek, even when he's nerfed, just build a Pain. Like, that's the one way you can always handle a Volek. You can always build a Pain against him. You don't have, that's not a limitation. Pretty much every AD carry in the game can build a Pain. Even a lot of mages can do it too.
Yeah, Pain gives you actually pretty good base stats in terms of power, and right here we see we were able to stun him out. Unfortunately,
I got chased.
Yeah, unfortunately we got split up there, which is the big problem with that team fight. It wasn't necessarily so much that Volek was the problem here. And now it's a 1v1 against Volek, which generally you don't win. I'm just trying to keep him away from Braun and Mina up in the top lane. That is my only goal right here. And, I would say I'm pretty successful, although Braun already died, but Mina can still get out of this, so I just try to stall him for as long as possible. I knew I wasn't going to win that one-on-one,
she dies.
so I try to save all my abilities. And, yeah, she dies, so...
But we killed Desecrator on the other side of the map with our Zalgus, who wasn't in the fight.
Right. So they're going to take a free tower here, which is... Volek is at the point where he might start coming back into the game, right? We're going to have to worry a lot more about our positioning when we're fighting him in these upcoming team fights, and you are going to end up seeing some of that as well. So basically, at this point, I think we're just telling each other, yeah, we're going to have to group up right now. Zalgus can't be on the bottom side of the map while two people are taking Spirit Well, while two people are sieging. That sort of layout just doesn't really work that well.
Yeah. We're also at a point where... I've optimized to handle the Volek a bit. I've got my Pain, and I've also got a Fate, so that means I can handle a lot more AoE and deal with the fact that they have 3 heavy healing shapers. Azaraki's built Discipline, so he's going to be able to get in the fight and sort of shut down a little bit of the Volek and Fenmore damage. So right now we're itemized well, and we're in a good position. We just need to group up as a team and make use of the fact that we have some insane burst on our mages and a really strong disruption line. We really only have one tank, which is Azaraki, but we have Mina. And if you guys are unfamiliar with Mina, she has a huge amount of disruption and the ability to, increase the percentage damage being dealt to shapers. So you combine that with, my AoE, the AoE chain, the chain combinations from Zalgus, we have a lot of really good ways to stop the sort of rush potential of a Fenmore and a Volek.
And if you guys don't know this, Mina is actually considered the best support in the game right now by a lot of high-tier players. If you look at any of the stats that God Old Malk had put together, he's actually good old Malk, but we call him God Old Malk because he's God.
Because he is God. He's the statistical god. If you guys ever see him around, this man has done a lot to really help the competitive Dawngate scene. And Desecrator
gets caught
dies.
out. Yep.
And you saw Mina jumped off and feared him. He could go nowhere. Mina was played once in the DGSL finals, which was about 3 weeks ago. She was played once and banned every other match. The only time she wasn't banned, she was played, and that one time she was played, she won. So, that is insane. That's just a crazy statistic. You combine that with, the disruption potential out of a Petrus, who can sort of dive on top of a team. Combine that with Mina jump off, and, you can do a huge amount. We catch out Fenmore here because he just went to ham, and I'm Kensu. I have slow arrows and a pain. He doesn't live.
Yep, and Zagas also has a chain, so there's like so much CC right there that allowed us to pick up that kill.
Whiff.
And yeah, I was just
First of many
Oh,
ultimate whiffs. I whiffed like 3 more ultimates over the course of this match. Armina actually wound up picking Duress, which I really liked as an item, and I hate the item too.
So my goal here is to basically occupy their time while we take the binding for free. I'm the only one who basically took damage after we killed the Volok in that siege, so I would call that a win. So now at this point we say, alright, let's back off a little bit. We're kind of low, and let's take Para. So we go straight to Para, and at this point, we see, alright, Fenmore's not there, Volok's not there. Fenmore can cleanse slows with his W, so we don't want him in a fight that they can contest for Para, because one of the big things we have going for us is keeping people out of the Para pit with, say, Kensu's slows. That's one of the big things that's going to help us out, because do you have Fate yet? I'm not sure, but...
Yes, I have Fate. I have Fate and Pain as my main...
AoE slows. That's something that's going to help us distract them, and right here, Fenmore just barely arrives, but he's a little bit too late. He's not going to be able to contest, and then we can just turn the fight with a beautiful ultimate wave from Fox as well.
Yeah, Zagas was going for a snipe there, and that wasn't a bad time for him to save it, because it wasn't a big grouped up area, and we weren't looking at that situation. But yeah, there's just the fact that I have so many slows, and we have the potential to pretty much dive this for free. Everyone tanks up a few hits, and we're actually even able to, Volk, he's scared. He's scared to go near us because I have pain and slow. Azaraki has stuns. Mina has stuns. Volk isn't that scary, if you have, the right tools to handle him. And whiff number 2.
Yeah, if you have the kite ability, if you have the CC, Volok's not too scary. But again, it's hard to pick against a Volok when you don't know that there's going to be a Volok in the game. So they're actually just going to surrender it. I forgot how early they surrendered that game. But yeah, that was game 1. So we're going to pause in 3, 2, 1. Alright, so we're seeing the beginnings of another play, but we can talk about that game a little bit while we're here. So yeah, to recap, Volok is really strong right now, especially in solo queue. He can be handled, but you need specific shapers, and you need specific
items.
You need shapers, items, and communication.
The other item I didn't build was Ruin. That's another thing you build for Volok.
Yeah, Ruin can take a health percentage, does health percentage damage on auto attacks, so that's really good for any bruiser / tank. So that's a really good item to pick in a lot of situations, actually, not just when you're fighting a Volok or someone like that. So we are going to be able to, or we were able to shut him down after that fight, or not after that fight, just in that game in general. And so, yes, Volok can be countered. It's possible. But it's pretty hard to. So I still think that the nerf that Waystone is doing is 100% justified. He is really strong right now, and again, anytime you have to force your opponents into doing something special, it means that shaper is OP. I can't think of any other shaper in the game that's like, oh, they picked this. The only way we're going to beat them now is if we pick one of these 3 shapers.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think there's anybody else who, like, you see Volok in a game, you're like, okay, somebody has to build a pain. If we don't have a pain, we're gonna lose. Kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So here's a solo queue clip. This is the fight that went pretty badly for us, but there's a lot of stuff we can talk about in terms of how we could have fought this better. So let's go ahead and start the video in 3, 2, 1. All right. So Basically, I'm going to stick around here because I know their team is on their way over. So first thing I do, Bramblebush. That slows down their initiation from Cerulean right there. I throw my Vine over because I know that slows down the initiation. But here's where we go wrong. Everyone clumps up, right? And you saw the 4-man Mina ult happen, and then Calm ultimate because we were still clumped up, and all of our health bars went from, we were at 2/3 or such, and then suddenly 0. Everyone has very little health yet, and here's the fight again. If Braun has anything else to say about it.
I'd say one thing to keep in mind is the fact that I'm on the Kensu again. I have Cerulean handled. Cerulean's not going anywhere, and then everybody jumps on him again. If we had all backed up after the Mina ult and Cerulean had just flipped one target, we probably would have been fine. I was also too close to the team. Our biggest issue was that even though we had Cerulean, like Cerulean was sort of dealt with. He was sort of sitting there at about half health and couldn't do anything. And then he, Mina ults, and we didn't immediately get the hell out. If we had, we could have worn out the Mina ult. I could have continued to throw slows behind us. We had, Ferris could have been throwing skill shots, and we would have been better to kite it back further and get out of the fact that we were Mina ulted and chained. Like, I think 2 or 3 of us got Zalgus chained, and that was the big problem, was when Zalgus hit us with that chain, with the Mina ult, and all that damage just amplified.
Yep, so I've backed up a little bit. Braun's not going to be able to see what I do, but basically I want to go over some other stuff in the fight. So, Bramblebrush, I don't exactly know what that spell is called, but I use it to slow down Cerulean. He gets slowed a little bit, it gives us a little bit more time to reposition. Then right here, the team fight looks good, right? We have Ashabel right here to try to cut off anyone who tries to go back into the fight from this direction. You guys can see my mouse. And Kensu's ultimate was completely blocked by me, so they're not going to have that as an initiation either. And right here we have Reyna and Kensu. Really good combo for kiting right in front of the Cerulean, so they're going to be able to kite him out pretty well. We play the thing a little bit more. Here goes the Mina ultimate, alright? So 3-man Mina ultimate, that's going to end up doing a lot of damage to us. And as Braun said, we should have just backed off at this point, right? Braun could have went this way, I would go down, Fox would go down, or with Braun or something like that. Basically, we should vacate this little area right here that they're going to continue to cluster us in. So let's speed it up a little bit more. Good old Malk flashes over, and right there, the Calm ultimate hits all of us, except for Ferris, who was down taking the well. Now, he should have come up a little bit faster in the first place, but at the same time, it was... again, we were all positioned in this tiny little corridor right here, and it allowed them to land their skill shots so very easily. And you can see the health bars right now. Let me play that out a little bit. And now look at the health bars. Suddenly, they're not looking so good. We went from, 2/3 or a half to Braun has, 10? Fox has 500, good old Malk has 300. And at this point, it's just cleanup for them because they have full health on all their guys. Zalgus is going to be able to keep putting out damage. Kensu is as well. And at this point, see, Ferris goes down. I'm the only one left in the fight. I was able to get that one last auto attack on Cerulean to take one more kill back.
Pride kill.
Yeah, the pride kill. But overall, this was a poor fought fight by us. So one of the lessons we want to take out of this is that basically you want to be more aware of what happens in a team fight. Because if we'd have all been 100% aware of the Mina ultimate, we would have been, alright, back off. Get away from their big AoE. And we didn't, so we got clumped up by King of Masks. And I believe Zalgus also, as you said, landed a chain and an E as well. And that was able to do a lot of damage to us on top of it. So that's really one of the big portions about why that team fight went wrong for us.
Yeah, there's like this end chain, and he comes in and lasers. I'd also say in terms of our carry positioning, we spent too many resources dealing with the Cerulean. We were so scared of him flipping a single target, which is one of the things that makes Cerulean terrifying to play against. He's got that single target flip potential. There was a lot of time for I could have backed up further instead of sticking around to do damage. Forrest could have come in at a better angle. He went in onto the Cerulean instead of their squishy line. Like, that would have been great if he'd just gone in and assassinated the Zalgus instantly and disrupted their back line. We could have then continued to back up. He was too far down taking the Spirit Wall, which was one of those problems. So that was another thing we probably could have done better in that fight.
Yep, and we're back to the overlay that we have with Surreal Gaming stuff. By the way, Braun and I are two of the founders of Surreal Gaming, so check them out. Quick shout out. You can find Surreal Gaming at Surreal Gaming on Twitter. So it's basically Surreal Gaming without the A in gaming. And also surrealgaming.net is where you can find that. And we do a bunch of stuff across multiple different games. So check that out when you get the chance. So
Yes.
yeah,
Question time?
question time. Now we open it up to chat formally. Again, you guys are free to ask us whatever questions you want during the game that we analyze. But now we can open up the forum to anything you guys want to talk about now. Venalus is like, Surreal Gaming, yay. Also, check out Venalus. Gotta plug
Yes.
his stream too. He is a great streamer.
Yeah, fun guy to watch.
Fun guy to watch, always interactive with chat. He has a highlight that he posted recently. I think he can
Post that
probably
in
link
chat.
it in chat, yeah. But it's so much fun. It's extremely funny. Go check that out. Go check him out. So he's a great guy.
Yeah, so any immediate questions, any more Volocaloo questions? Although I think we've expended our Volocaloo answers, and Volocaloo being Volocaloo. No, it's always be aware that if there's a Volok, that's another one of the things people forget is, Volok is pub stompy. One, because he's really difficult to deal with in team fights if you're not coordinated. Two, because he walks out of the jungle and just kills you.
Oh,
He's-
looks like Lucky Apollo, Careful Houndoom, Phoenix something. I forgot his in-game name.
Celestial Phoenix.
Celestial Phoenix, yep. Looks like he's going to have more submissions, which, by the way, that will enter him into the drawing.
No,
for
he's
the...
in the drawing. He's the only one
No,
in the
he
drawing.
gets the second entry in the drawing, so...
All right, he gets a second entry in the drawing. So we put up a drawing for people who submitted video for a Burning Vengeance Freya skin that I happen to still be holding on to from PAX East. So what's our Demon Team and blind pick? Ooh, that's a really good question. But I'll finish the talk about the skin. So if you guys, we will take user submitted content. We've been trying to get that going from the beginning. Lucky Apollo is the first one to send us user submitted content. So if you guys send in videos and clips for the show, you guys will be entered in a drawing for a Burning Vengeance Freya skin. There's only one more week. Next week is the last week. Next episode is the last episode to enter. And now Lucky Apollo's got 2 entries. So, he's going to win, guys.
So yeah, he's going to get a free Freya skin. All right, so Dream Team and Blind Pick. What 5 characters would be the Dream Team and Blind Pick? Okay, so I think we can start this out by picking roles, right? So obviously you have your jungler, 2 tact, 2 glad, but I mean roles as in what niches do the shapers fill, right? We want an AD carry, a mage, utility support, tank, and bruiser. Is one of the ideal combinations right there. You can manipulate that a little bit, change the utility support for another bruiser and go double bruiser, very viable in the bruiser gate, which we like to call it. So there are a few different options that you can do, and in terms of utility support, I don't really want to put anyone there other than Mina or Calm.
Yeah. I would agree. I'd actually say,
Ooh, but
just because I like this
Alright.
lane so much, I would go with my Gladiator. My ranged AD carry Gladiator would be Varion, and I'd put Mina on him.
And now the reason I'm not saying Dibs is that even though Dibs is really one of the best utility supports in the game right now, he's more of a team utility support, right? Because his ultimate means that he can go take a well, he can go split push, and always be in a fight if he needs to be. But that requires a lot of team communication. I see a lot of solo queue games where Dibs tries to use his ultimate, but his team ends up backing out of the fight, so he just used his ultimate for nothing anyway. And that's something that, only team communication can really fix. And on the other hand, I've seen Dibs where Dibs, instead of helping with a fight, abandons a fight to go up to a spirit well or to something else.
I can explain what makes Calm better than Amma. The reason Calm is better than Amma is because, especially if you look at a lot of competitive play, the amount of haste that you get on Calm with what are the better Calm builds allow you to do 2 things. 1, output damage at a higher rate than Amaranth, and 2, output CC at a higher rate than Amaranth. With pretty much duress and 1 or 2 other haste items, also generally with a justice added in for a bit of damage and the additional move speed, Calm becomes uncatchable. Duress, Justice, and what is it? Pursuit, plus probably a fluidity. You build those four items on a Calm, and you will never catch him. You will never ever catch a Calm. He will be too fast. His W will come up too often. The speed boost he'll get off of Justice will be too much, and he can constantly CC. And he has two CCs and a double dash if you dash E and then Q and then dash again. And that's what makes Calm slightly better than Emma. Emma has to land the long, difficult skill shot bubble, whereas Calm pretty much just has to throw his abilities in that general direction, and it has a good chance of CCing and doing great damage.
Yeah, Calm also has more CC overall than Amaranth. Now, Amaranth is still good as a mage, and don't take that as she needs to go Gladiator or she's not important, but she can fulfill a Tactician mage role really well. Amaranth, her job is to burst people down really quickly, so I would say that I like Amaranth better than Calm as a flat mage, but as a utility support, Calm I would say is better than Amaranth. So now, if you exchange your utility support for Amaranth as your secondary mage, then you end up sort of having two mages, which can work in a team comp. You just need to make sure that you have that your other mage either has a lot of CC or you have two tanks basically, or two really CC heavy bruisers.
Yeah. So then past that, you move towards the other lane. Mage wise, your options are things. I'll take Zalgus. I'll take Zalgus or Ashabel, to be honest. I don't really like running Kendra just because it's very easy for her to be shut down. Same with Forest. I don't like the assassins in this game, particularly for my team comps, because I don't trust that the assassins are going to do that well, and especially because right now this is essentially the Bruiser Gate. Bruisers are so insanely strong in Dawngate. I would rather have a backline mage a little bit who I can try and protect with the other three bruisers or two bruisers that I have on my team, which is where I would put my jungler and my other tactician. They are bruisers and tanks because they need to protect that backline.
So in terms of junglers, we definitely want bruisers or tanks, and the three that have been really prevalent in the scene four, I would say, I guess, are Koggin, Petrus, Moya, and Salus. Those are the top-notch junglers right now, and Basco recently got nerfed a little bit, so he's not as strong as he was before. Still pretty strong, but I don't think he's 100% top tier anymore. So those four are what we have to choose from now. I like the amount of CC that Koggin gives, and like for me, what I think I would go with is Koggin or Petrus. I like the amount of CC they have, unless we're running a pick comp, which in blind pick is a little bit iffy sometimes, right? It can either work really well or it can fall flat on its face. A lot of that also depends on your team communication, and in terms of solo queue, that's hit or miss. Either you get a team that likes to communicate or you don't. You get a team that likes to say, "Oh, you're bad," and then just leave it at that or something. So that's why I wouldn't run Moya. In a full 5-on-5, say scrim or something, I would go Moya. That's cool. Moya's really good for pick comps, Moya's really good for initiations, but I think you need a little bit more in terms of your communication in order to run him, whereas Petrus and Koggin are both really good, just all-around solo queue shapers as well.
Yeah, Petrus can make plays on his own, and Koggin clears beyond belief. So Koggin can show up. Koggin has more gank potential and more intervals to make plays. Petrus, by his kit, in the hands of a skilled player, has the potential to make lots and lots of plays. He's highly mobile, has lots of CC, and decent damage. He can sort of jump around and do everything. So I'd also put Salus in that solo queue mentality. I would run Salus with certain compositions. I'd run Salus with things like follow-up Reyna as the defensive tactician in the mage lane, because I'm running Mina and Varion in my other lane. Because I like to have the Salus has the initiation setup ult, and then Reyna follows up with the hammer. And,
Right.
That right there is a really good setup composition.
So do we want to, if it's Reyna, do we want to go with Zalgus or Ashabel? Because you could go lore lane and go Zalgus.
You can go either one. That's the other thing, and like we said, I have a tendency to I like backline mages. I love playing Zalgus. I loved playing Ashabel. I don't play her as much as I used to, because I don't trust assassins in the same way. Uh, Emma, I'd also put Emma in there, but I think personally I'd probably wind up going Zalgus. I'd wind up going Zalgus Reyna because of the potential for Reyna to go forward, set up a play, and Zalgus to hit the chain. And if Zalgus hits a chain off of a Reyna alt, off of a Salus alt, off of a Moya pick, when everybody's Moya picks a target and then Reyna alts everybody else, and then Mina follows up, and then Varian follows up. Like there's just so much burst potential there. Also, again, I'm also picking some very statistically advanced champions for competitive play. A lot of these guys have really good records in competitive.
Okay, so
Zalgus not as much though. Zalgus does not get played in competitive enough, in my opinion.
In terms of our solo queue team, I think for me, I would agree with most of your points, and then for the jungler, I would take Koggins. So we have Reyna and Zalgus in one lane. We would have Mina and Varian in another lane because both of those lanes are relatively safe. If you put Reyna in any lane, it becomes fairly safe because she has a lot of peel and she can use her ultimate if anything were to go full-on ham initiate. So she can keep Zalgus alive pretty well so long as Zalgus doesn't get too badly positioned himself. So both of those lanes are lanes that can definitely win, especially Mina Varian. Like in terms of if you want to talk pure statistics, Varian Mina is the best competitive lane right now because both of those have really high win rates. They're both two of the best of their role. And on top of that, if Varian progress gates in, then Mina can jump off directly afterwards, and you suddenly get twice the range on Mina's jump, so you have twice the range of your initiation in the top lane, so that's extremely strong. And she can help Varian put out even more damage and help Varian kite even more than he already can, so that's a really good combo right there. And in terms of team fights, like you said, we have Reyna initiation, Koggin hooks everyone so that they're all close together, and then Reyna can initiate then, or it could be the other way around where Reyna sets off Koggin's hook. But one of the cool things about Koggin's hook is that it's sort of like a cone like this, and it goes back to where Koggin is standing, so that can really set up multiple chains for Zalgus really easily, perhaps better than Reyna's ultimate can as well. So he's going to be able to get his full-on burst damage down, and then there's still quite a bit of cleanup/peel on Mina, Varian, and Reyna.
So yeah, that's a solo queue comp. If you guys are looking for specific solo queue lanes, Mina Ferris, Mina Kindra, Mina Varian. Those are three of the strongest, just straight up solo queue lanes. You also have Viana Fenmore. We beat it, but only because I rushed a pain, and I was able to. Viana Fenmore is another really strong lane for pushing, as well as Ashabel Mara is insanely strong for pushing. You bramble forward, Ashabel shoots targets over the brambles. You can push a tower in under 7 minutes.
Yeah. Another cool shaper to use as Desecrator. Farming Desecrators has been...
Caster Crater,
yep. So, Caster Crater and any lane with Caster Crater is not necessarily supposed to win the lane outright, but what it does is basically it makes it so that, well, you win the lane if they do something stupid like try to initiate on the Desecrator without a numbers advantage, but you're basically guaranteeing yourself a safe farming lane, because Desecrator can farm from an extremely long range. I think it's his E that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
His Q also has a pretty decent range on it as well, so he can farm from a distance, and if he has to go into melee a creep, then he has so much peel for himself. He can use his Q to knock people up, he can use his W to slow people, and then he can silence slap people. So that's... Desecrator has a really safe farming kit, so if you pick a Desecrator lane, you're going to have a pretty decent laning phase no matter what. Unless, of course, you overextend way too much, make mistakes, don't ward, and all the big things that can turn fights around no matter what you're playing around junglers or just misplays.
Yeah, Caster Crater is sort of saying, I'm going to farm, and if you try and kill me, I will kill you. And it has a lot of potential. Like, it's really hard to stop caster crater from farming. You can't really do it. And if you have a really good tactician, the lane is just going to wind up with the same, with really, really strong, really good amounts of gold, and it's going to wind up just as strong as if you put a standard mage in that lane. And you also get really good initiation out of caster crater towards late game. So, are there any other points you want to bring up?
Well, Venelus had a question. I don't know too much about Dawngate myself, but do you think it has what it takes to make it to the mainstream? So, one of the biggest things that makes a mainstream game, that makes a really good competitive esport, is community backing, right? If no matter how much a company tries to say, hey, here's $10,000 and just straight up throws it at the game, it's not always going to work, right? You're going to get people to play it for the prize money, but you're not going to get a big following. You might have 100 people playing your game, but that doesn't make a good esport. You don't have any viewership there because no one can get into the game because the game's not good itself. So community is a huge part of a game, and so far from what I can tell from the Dawngate community, everyone is ready to make competitive Dawngate happen. So I think one of the biggest steps in terms of making it to the mainstream is the community and how much the community wants the competitive scene, and I would say the Dawngate scene wants it.
Yeah, no, there's been a lot of really good support, and just people wanting to make this game great and enjoy it. So I think it has potential. And Ven, you should just come play it with us. But I think on that note, we'll close up the stream.
Yep, I think that was all we had. So if you like what we have here, go ahead and submit your feedback in the Reddit thread, in the YouTube comments, or email us, which is atwhatcostdg@gmail.com. If you liked either of us, you can follow us. I'm at Azaraki Dragon. He's at the Source AL. And yeah, that's all I can really think of for ending notes.
Oh, and submit content if you guys want a shot at that Freya skin. Burning Vengeance Freya, it'll give you both Freya and the skin if you guys get it. You guys gotta. Currently, you guys are gonna lose. Everyone's gonna lose to Lucky Apollo because he's got that 2-to-1 ratio. We need some submissions.
2-0 at the moment.
Yeah, or that 2-0 ratio.
He's not going against anyone. But yeah, also, I don't know if we'll count this for the Freya skin, but if you guys have anything you want us to talk about, you want us to focus on in an episode, you can send an email over there as well. Once again, it's atwhatcostdg@gmail.com. And if you have a topic that you want to do, say, help, how can I play Reyna better, right? My Reyna games,
he will do a whole episode on nothing but Reyna.
I am 35% win rate on Reyna. How can I improve my game? And then we can create the show around Reyna, or at the very least get a bunch of clips in terms of helping you improve on your Reyna play. It doesn't have to be Reyna, it can be whatever shaper you want, any situation you want. How can I play against this shaper? What do I do when our team is this far behind and we don't have any spirit wells or something like that? If you guys have any questions that you want in terms of furthering your play, please email as well. So I think that's it, and check
out the rest of the stuff on the channel, guys. There's plenty of awesome Dawngate hilarity and cool content on the At What Cost YouTube channel, so definitely go check that out.
Yep. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good night, and Renzo.